Hello again, everybody. We have a nice fun battle this time. Silo Scramble. We get to play as Kanbei, which always makes for a fun mission in my book. This is probably meant to be the first Yellow Comet mission you do. It's certainly the easiest. Kanbei is kind of ditzy as usual. We'll see about that, Sonya. If your defense network is so perfect, how in the world did Black Hole take over everything all at once? This might suggest to a new player that Kanbei is not good at the indirect, but that's not at all true. Not at face value anyway. You could make an argument that you get a little bit more value out of his bonuses by using mostly direct combat units. I'm not really sold on that argument though. Okay, we can tally up another major failure for Sonya. I think it's pretty much just nepotism that keeps her in her position. She really doesn't seem to be very good at either intelligence officer stuff or being a commander. Or maybe it's just bad writing, it's just supposed to be coming across as a genius. So, we're playing Kanbei against Flak this time. About as uneven a match as is imaginable. Kanbei even mostly negates Flak's bonuses, such as they are. The game actually has two introductions to missile silos. There's one in the Blue Moon campaign too, because you might do that first. This is one reason why I believe that the designers intended you to do this mission first of the Yellow Comet ones. If you don't do it first, you can actually run into missile silos on another one without having been introduced to them. Okay, let's take a look around the map. These missiles can be launched one time to do 3 area of effect damage, anywhere on the map. As you've no doubt noticed by not seeing any up until now, area of effect damage is pretty rare and useful in this game. Flak has a slightly better economy than I do, but it's comparable. Both of us can get ports, but we can't really do anything with them. There's no place to land troops, and we don't really need to anyway to get to his side, so the ports are basically useless. The central isthmus is of course the key to everything, with all those silos and 2 bases on it. It is my goal to never let him set foot into the center. First turn we have little option but to build infantry. I have tried just passing the turn and then building an infantry and APC next turn to rush to the middle, but I find that economic slow start to not really be worth it. The timing just doesn't work very well, because if you do that, your APC will get to the middle right around the same time that Flak wants to launch his missile silos, so you end up with your one crucial infantry being crippled and unable to capture anything. Flak's targeting is pretty random and weird, but if you only have like 2 guys on the map, he will definitely target those. So you're at risk of ending up with a slow economy and failing to capture the middle if you do that. But now I think it's time to build myself an APC. The timing works better this way. He'll fire his silos while my APC is still en route. Avoid the beginner mistake of loading infantry who already exists onto an APC, by the way. That's a waste of movement. I'm in no hurry to get to my own silos, by the way. I don't find that it's useful to disrupt his early units with them, particularly. It's more important for me to capture things myself right now and then use the missiles later on to break through his walls. Sometimes I'll use a silo when he gets his first tank driving at me. He's going for an APC, that's interesting. He doesn't always do that. If he uses that to rush for the middle, that could be a problem. But I bet he'll do something dumb instead, like go north with it. So let me think about what the best use of my APC this turn is. I'm trying to figure out how to use movement efficiently and get to the middle and do the captures too, without getting hit by silos too hard if he aims intelligently. He'll get to a missile silo next turn, so I definitely want to have at least 1 infantry safely inside the APC where the missile cannot harm it. That will be very important for efficient capturing in a turn or 2. I'll try to spread my guys out a little bit so that if he aims well he can't hit too many of them at the same time. It hits 1 central square and a 2 square radius on all sides of it. So I think I'll waste 1 square of movement and have this guy stop here then load him on next time. We'll see who he targets. It is fairly random in my experience. Oh, and I'll save my money to get a tank soon. He'll usually target your APC, but a couple of times I've seen him just target 2 random infantry elsewhere. Okay, here he went for a guy and an APC. That's about usual. Once in a while, I've seen him hit an APC, but not hit the infantry next to it, who he could have. Very strange. So, I'll load an infantry into the APC and start driving. As long as I don't drop him off this turn, he'll be safely inside the APC, and therefore Flak cannot hurt him with a missile. So I'll then be able to capture at full speed after dropping him off the turn after Flak fires his missile. I could have sent a 2nd infantry down south to use both my silos, but I think 1 will be sufficient. I'm not in a hurry to use them fast after all. I'll build a tank. He might silo it, I'm not sure, but even the 9 HP Kanbei tank will do its job very well. We'll see whom he targets soon. As I predicted, he wasted his time with his APC, driving it pointlessly up north. The main use of APCs is to get to disputed properties first. Okay, he did weaken my tank, but it doesn't really hurt me too badly. Oh, weird, what is he doing? I've never seen him not drive his tank right at the middle. Fascinating. And that hurts him very, very badly. I can capitalize on that by effortlessly blocking him off now. I've pondered where to drop the infantry from. It won't make a big difference, so I'll just go here in the north. I'm keeping my options open that way in case I want to load somebody else into it soon. Probably they'll send the APC south to block his infantry. The fact that he fired his missile at my tank instead of at my APC means the APC will make a better wall than usual. Above all, I need to stop his infantry from getting to the middle and launching any missiles. One useful tip, by the way. An infantry of any HP is equally good at launching missiles, so you might as well use your injured ones to do that, and have the full HP ones do captures or fighting. And I'll save my money. I want to be ready to deploy good soldiers right out of the middle bases once I have them. He's going to build a lander most likely, and this is so weird. I've never seen him do this with his tank. He always sends it to the middle. Anyway, the AI loves to always have exactly one lander. They don't do anything with it, they just don't want their port to feel lonely, I guess. Now my APC, because it's injured, can't get full benefit from the terrain stars, and thus can't take his infantry as indefinitely as it usually would be able to. But it will buy plenty of time for the tank to get here. Okay, so I keep advancing the full HP infantry toward where they can either fight or capture, while the weakened ones go down south. And I'll continue to save my money to build good things out of the base in the middle, instead of weak things back at my headquarters and then driving them slowly over to the middle. I remain mystified by his tank's behavior. Never seen this before. I'll improvise. Usually by this point it's threatening the middle and I'm forced to use a silo to slow it down. So this is much nicer for me. Well, the APC only needs to stand still for one more turn. Then the tank will be in position. And then I can use the APC to ferry in more infantry to speed up capturing and missile launching. I'll have this guy keep healing up so we can capture a fight at full power soon. Should I launch this missile? I'm thinking no, I'll just save it. Although I could drain his funds substantially if I fired it at the lander and forced him to repair it for 2 turns. You know, actually, I think I'll shoot over there at that cluster of guys altogether. That will make all of those guys much easier to instant kill later on when I encounter them. Kanbei's units have an easy time dealing 70% or 80% damage to enemies, so reducing his guys from 10 HP to 7 should make them instant killable pretty easily. He's really continuing to just mindlessly crowd in around that northern city, isn't he? So strange. Injured though it is, he can still barely scratch this APC. I'll want to take out that artillery before it gets in position. Speaking of artillery, I was saying before that you can make an argument at least that Kanbei gets more benefit for direct combat units than for indirects. With a direct combat unit, he pays 20% more, but in every single fight he gets to use both his plus 30% attack and his plus 30% defense. With an indirect, you don't really get much value out of the defense, unless you do a bad job of protecting it. And similarly, you could say that his APCs and whatnot are a relatively not good deal, because he doesn't get to use the offense bonuses for them, but he still pays plus 20% more. I don't think I'm really sold on this argument, to be honest. I feel like his 30% better artillery that can often instant kill things, and his 30% tougher APCs that are often unkillable are very, very good and well worth it. I think we'll actually advance this infantry. I want to press down this bridge as fast as I can. One of the key factors in not getting a bad speed score here is just to press over the bridge quickly and then not get choke pointed. Power and technique are pretty easy here. But if you get slowed down too much on the bridge, the 19 turn speed limit can start to bite, especially given how slow the beginning always is, with a lot of turns being spent just setting up. One thing Kanbei is just not that great at is mowing down a long line of enemy troops in one turn, because you just won't have that many guys to do it with most of the time. I'm even going to risk letting him first strike my tank just to make it easier for me to break out of this choke point. He might be too afraid to go for it anyway, we'll see. Let's see, my infantry near the tank can't actually attack anything, but the one up here could launch a missile. That will drain his funds and set him up for a lot of instant kills. My Neo tank will overkill this infantry, but its bonus movement is immediately valuable here compared to an MD tank that would not be able to quite get into the fight. And that will break me through and allow me to get the tank out to instant kill their artillery. He could then drive up and attack my tank and try to block me, but I'm sure that with a silo I can then break through and be on the loose. So this is a pretty early time for getting out of the choke point and onto his side of the map. Now, as much as I would like to save my money for an additional Neo tank, I think what I really need right now is just more units that are capable of attacking, so a regular old tank will have to do. Sometimes it is more useful to just be able to attack more targets in one turn, rather than overkill a couple of guys. I'll keep ferrying more infantry into position too. My infantry will be pretty useful in combat too. They can really rip apart Flaks, and that way my tanks don't have to waste their time attacking them. On the other hand, I also do want some infantry for capturing things in the middle area and launching missiles. They have a lot of jobs to do on this mission. Alright, let's see if Flak dares to attack my tank with his. Nope, he chickened out. Funny. He did block me though. That's not an intelligent move, by the way, that's just the AI always tries to move up and block even if they don't attack. Like a stopped clock, that happens to be a good move this particular time, but usually it's worthless. Looks like I can't instant kill this guy without a little bit of luck, and I don't want to count on that. So in the interest of speed, I will use another missile and just blast this tank one more time. That will allow me to guaranteed instant kill it, rather than counting on luck. You may remember how I said that units secretly have 100 HP, right? which the game for some reason hides and pretends is a single-digit number. Well, one situation where that is relevant is when you launch a missile at an injured unit. It'll always reduce them to a multiple of 10 HP. So a tank at, say, 68, displaying a 7 would drop to exactly 40. The one exception being that you can't be reduced below 1%. I think I'm going to choose to shoot the lander instead of the APC, actually. To rout him, which I'll probably want to do, I'll need to kill every single one of his unit. And the lander is hard to hurt except while it's already damaged like this. If I turn out to go for HQ capture instead, this will become a pointless move. But for now I'm keeping my options open. I'm going to bring some more infantry across the bridge while a few stay behind to capture. Let me double check where his tank can get to. I wouldn't want to drop an infantry in its range. So I've dropped off into a safe frontal area, and I'll load the next infantry onto the APC too, because it might as well do that. I'm feeling the need for more infantry, and I think I want to save my money for a Neo tank instead of more tanks of my own. I think the extra infantry will be more helpful than one more tank would be in this circumstance. Maybe I'll get a medium tank next turn or something, we'll see. He's burning through a lot of funds repairing that useless lander, 2,400 per turn, that's a good chunk of his income. Forcing your enemy to waste money on repairs can be quite valuable. Now, because I built this useful Neo tank, and because I'm Kanbei, I can just drive right up to his factory and have a high chance of instant killing his guy right off of it. Neo tanks are so good for that. Okay, the coin flip didn't go my way. If he goes into repair mode and just sits tight, this will still be really good for me though, I just blocked the factory. This is one of the reasons why I think that Neo tanks are definitely better than NV tanks against the AI. Instant kills or near instant kills are just so much more valuable than simply reducing units to half health or something. That infantry can never really do anything again. There's no way he could walk back into the battle before it ends. I'm pondering where the best place to shoot a missile is. I certainly want to damage his tank and artillery, but my missiles can damage my own units too. I think I want to hit his front infantry. Yeah, this is probably the best option available to me. I'll take the obvious move and drive up and ruin one of his tanks with one of my good ones. Sadly, didn't reduce him to 2 HP or below, which would probably have made him go back for repairs. At 3 HP or higher, he'll tend to go around to do nuisancey things like attacking my infantry instead. I'll take out his APC, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. As I said once before, by the way, you don't get credit for that for your power score. If you kill a transport unit with a guy in it, you still just get credit for 1 kill. As a word of warning, by the way, this also applies for CO power buildup. Destroy units in a transport doesn't build up either player's CO power gauge. This can be very useful against enemies who have strong CO powers. His tank can shoot my infantry after this, but I've got to just keep pressing in with everything and try to overwhelm him. If I can block off his factories, then I'll win. Especially if his tank stays for repairs on his current base, this is a great time for an offensive, because he only has 1 base open in that case. If you block all his bases, the rest of his forces will be destroyed within a couple of turns, no problem. Okay, he's using his power. One of the things that I love about Kanbei is how little luck affects him. I hate the luck mechanic. And because it's reduced by defense, Kanbei's plus 30% defense dramatically reduces how much your units can be hurt by luck. Likewise, he himself on offense has enough power to instant kill a lot of things without relying upon luck. Oh, interesting. He drove his tank off and started fighting instead of leaving it to get repaired. That's a bit of a problem for me, actually. I was pretty confident he would leave it in repairs because enemies with 1 or 2 HP usually do that. Well, it'll be alright anyway. I'll find some other way to block his factories. Even the APC can do that. Of course, my APC is getting chipped down pretty fast at this point. Oh, his artillery is backing away. That's good for me. My turn. This turn, the big problem is all his units have bonus defense from his CO power, so it's harder to instant kill them than usual. The solution is missiles. In particular, I really want to be able to kill the guys on his factory so I can move up and block them. I really wish I knew how much damage my 9 HP tank would do to his 7 HP mech on the factory. If I knew that exactly, it would make it easier to plan. What about whether my tank can instant kill his APC? Nope. Well, I'm going to spend another missile in that case. That will both let me easily kill off that APC and also weaken his ability to fire back at whatever I put upon his factory, since all his other units in the area will be pretty heavily damaged. I think I'll end up using the APC for that, we'll see. I'll have my tank attack from the north too to help start setting up a wall around the APC that I presume will be blocking the factory. The APC is dead. Long live the APC! To make sure it does live long, I better make sure that mech can't attack it, neither can the tank. I do wish I knew exactly how much damage I could deal with my tank against his mech here. Probably not 70% though. You know, if I move my infantry to the west of the factory, I can go for the HQ capture next turn. That is looking like it will be more efficient than routing him this time around. I'll need to make sure the infantry doesn't get damaged, of course. In fact, I'm thinking that I can't really block off the eastern base this turn. Unless I get clever, that is. I should try getting clever. My tank could reach the base, except that it's blocked up by their tank, and I can't kill their tank with my infantry, which is of course the only other unit that I have available. Unless of course I use another missile to weaken his tank first. But I can't do that without hitting my own guys with the missile too. They're too intermixed with Flaks at this point. I think it's worth doing though. I'll hit my infantry as well as his tank, but then my infantry can walk up and kill off his 1% HP tank. This will have another benefit that I think Flak will end up targeting the injured infantry with his other guys instead of attacking my 10 HP one, hopefully. The AI seems to have no grasp whatsoever that the infantry next to his HQ is more important than one elsewhere on the map. There, that tank has been reduced to 1% HP, so infantry is guaranteed to kill it at this point. And that means I can drive my tank in and block up his base. Other than that, I need to decide what I'm going to be building this turn. I can't do a Neo-Tank, which couldn't really get involved in the fight anyway. I think just in case I want to be able to rout him, I'll probably build myself a rocket so I can shell his ship on port. Just to have a backup plan in case something goes wrong with the HQ capture and slows it down. It'll take another turn to position the rocket before it can shoot, but it will do good damage at that point. Better than a Neo-Tank can do. He might be able to kill that injured infantry if he's smart, which would be my first casualty on this mission. Nope, looks like he was stupid and blocked himself, so now his non-HP guy can't do anything. My plan did work though. He prioritized the injured infantry over the full HP one, even though the full HP one is the much bigger threat. In fact, he didn't even try to shoot my 10 HP infantry with his 3 HP one. That's very strange. I honestly can't find a simple set of rules that the AI always seems to follow. They go for capturing infantry above all else, true. They seem to like infantry in general as targets, but here he chose to shoot at an APC instead of shooting at an infantry. Well, I can now do the HQ capture, which means I no longer actually need to block his factories this turn. All I need to do is keep him from damaging the infantry, then it becomes a guaranteed win. That also means I can just focus on keeping all of my guys alive for technique score. There are some pretty tempting missile targets in view. Almost all his guys are nicely clumped up for me. I don't think the artillery matters much, so I'll ignore it. I ended up needing to improvise and get creative a few more times than I expected this mission. It was pretty fun. When Flak plays more intelligently, I have a better strategy for beating him, actually. Ordinarily, I would expect to be trying to meet his tank on the bridge and then slowly pushing out of there with a bigger and bigger force of Neo-Tanks or things like that. By which point, when you get to his base, you just run him over effortlessly in a couple of turns. But I did end up winning in fewer days than usual this time, because he didn't try to block me properly on the bridge. I don't know why I'm still shooting at these guys. I don't need to win by rout at this point, I just like to. Forget it, I'm not going to waste any more time on that. As you can see, I've taken 0 casualties, and I can't change that in any way this turn. And I wiped out tons of his guys every single turn, so my power score is secure. And a day 15 win is well ahead of the 19 turn time limit, which is the main obstacle to getting a perfect score in this mission, of course. Sadly, he's out of range of me, so I'll just go ahead and capture him. Well, a fun mission, I think, and one that shows both Kanbei's skills and his weaknesses. Kanbei gives you a painfully slow start with his bad economy. And missiles, which ignore his defense, are also a crucial threat to him. Yep, that's true, Sonya. If not for your missile silos, it would have been an easy victory. Without them, I could have just done the turn 2 APC and infantry attack on the middle island and won easily. But, as usual, Kanbei pretends that she's indispensable.
Mission complete.
I like that picture there. It is one of the ones that they reuse fairly generically for a few other chapters, but still one that I like. I'm fond of those background artworks that Intelligence Systems use for a couple of their games from this era. Fire Emblem 7 had the very best ones, I think. Well, with this win we unlock 3 new missions, so there's going to be 4 options for Yellow Comet. I actually haven't decided which ones I'll do next. It doesn't matter strategically, just a question of which ones sound fun first. Until then, have a great day everyone.